Now, I don't know if you caught the BBC programme on Queen Victoria and her children recently. I haven't seen it, but I really wanted to. Producer Alex has seen it. She says it was riveting stuff. And in the programme, it sort of shows Queen Victoria as a self-obsessed nymphomaniac whose world revolved around her husband Albert, with scant regards for her children, whom she nevertheless ruled with a rod of iron. So with that in mind, let's meet Ashley Coates. He's a 23-year-old history graduate from Lee Woods in Bristol. He's been moonlighting as the Victorian Queen over the last few months, and he's here to tell us why. So, Ashley, to be clear, you haven't been dressing up in black and lace since September, but you have been tweeting as Queen Victoria. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Yes, reassuringly, none of those activities have been taking place. No, the idea is to sort of be transmitting her diaries across Twitter. So it's what she wrote on this day 174 years ago. So I started in the year of her coronation, 1838, back in September. So what's being tweeted, for instance, today is what happened on the 9th of January, 1839 in her diary. And I tend to tweet sort of vaguely when those activities might be happening in her day. So yesterday in 1839, she just got back to Buckingham Palace at 3:30. So at 3:30, that tweet went out. So the idea is that it's kind of her actual words and stuff from her diary, but if she was tweeting it.
Brilliant. I think it's such a great idea, and we'll get on to how you came up with it in a minute, but I just asked you during that song what today's tweet was, and it's uncanny, isn't it?
Yes, it is actually about the Duchess of Cambridge, who wasn't a princess at the time, but she's visiting Kew yesterday in 1839, and the tweet was about how she likes being carried around in a chair, essentially, which is it's quite a surreal diary, because obviously her life isn't particularly normal, so she'll sort of be complaining about things like parrots that she owns making a strange noise, and the Prime Minister not turning up when she wanted him to. So it's an odd thing to read. Very
interesting there. But I mentioned that it was kind of odd because the Duchess of Cambridge, of course, in the news today because of her birthday and the flag, and they're talking about all of that.
Yes, sorry.
Really interesting. So in terms of, you say it was a very odd life. I mean, it kind of reminds me, just you saying that then, it's that sort of strange bubble, isn't it, that she must have lived in from that very cosseted early beginnings of her life, and the things that were important to her, and yet she was such an amazing woman and an amazing ruler. What are the real standout things for you in terms of so far that you've learnt about her, either bizarre world or her character?
It's the extent of for instance, anyone that caught those programmes on her children will know that they talked endlessly about her sort of obsessive nature, but she was very, very obsessive, and you do get an impression, because I've been tweeting her diary since the 3rd of September. Every day she writes, more than 1,000 words quite often in this journal. It's not kind of, today I went to the shops. It is endless writing of everything, and so she kind of moves this obsessive personality between whatever sort of suits it. She wants to do a journal, then she's very obsessive about her friendship with the Prime Minister, Lord Melbourne. It takes up a huge amount of her time. In the same way, she ends up being obsessive about Prince Albert. So that was something that's been sort of quite revealing. Also, her kind of she doesn't restrict herself very much. She will just say whatever she thinks. She's constantly calling people ugly in the diaries. She's always calling people fat. It's just she's just very rude.
Bit of a cow. Does she mention? I mean, you say the obsession with Albert, and say this TV programme kind of gives us an idea that they were a very sexually active couple. Does she write very personally at all about anything, or is it more about the day? The stuff of the day.
At the moment, I'm tweeting from the 1839 diary, so she's 19. So she's not married.
Okay, that answers that question.
Yes,
I wasn't concentrating on that. When did you come across her diaries then?
I've been aware for quite a long time that she did write a lot. I'm not sure how I picked that up, but her diaries were actually transcribed by the royal household. They're owned by the royal household, and put online back in May. So that's how I became aware of their sort of public existence, because the actual originals, there are of course the handwritten ones, are in the Bodleian Library in Oxford, and it's very difficult to get hold of them. And there are several printed editions as well, but they attracted quite a lot of interest back in May, because it was the Diamond Jubilee. So
and your tweets, of course, quite a stir. There are lots of newspapers, and the BBC History magazine and our own local papers have all either commented or followed your tweets and wanted to know more. Did you have any idea that you'd get such an interesting response?
No, I mean, the agenda was kind of more to sort of transmit something interesting, historical, that people won't normally sort of interact with. I think it's, no one's going to seriously sit down and read her diaries, but it's to be able to bring it to people's attention in a way that's actually manageable. That's the real sort of joy, I think, of doing something like this.
And have you had response? Have you had like Twitter response? I mean, I love the idea that, the sort of counterbalance, there could be someone else being a historical figure or getting into some sort of war over the tweet.
There's, not for Queen Victoria, interestingly, but Samuel Pepys, the diarist from the 18th century, I think there's about 3 or 4 accounts of different people who've had the idea of doing something, either being him or doing his diary. Someone's got 30,000 odd followers being Samuel Pepys's, transmitting his actual diary, and someone tried to start another one recently, and there was a sort of accusations of plagiarism flying around the history community. There's quite a established history community on Twitter, interestingly. Obviously they all like chatting, and then another account that's doing the same thing, so that's been quite interesting to watch.
Is this going to be, how long is this going to take you? Because you live to a ripe old
I've
day.
got another 63 years of tweets.
Are you kind of committing yourself to this for the rest of your life?
It will finish on the 22nd of January 2075.
Okay.
Which would be horrendous.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm going to have to, there'll have to be some sort of long-term solution, because I can't keep doing it.
Oh, you've started. You've kind of got to finish.
I have no intention of cutting it off. But if I can find, history department or something that wants to take it on, help me with it at some stage. It's not going to be something. I mean, 63 years is a long time.
It would be a great project to pass on, to pass around, wouldn't you? As you said, you could almost pass the mantle on to schools, and different people then could get involved.
Hopefully, it's about getting people to actually, because she writes so much, it's about getting people to find the bits that are sort of interesting.
Exactly.
Trusting someone to find bits that you actually want them to tweet about.
But there you go. If you passed it on, you see other people might find other things. Like children might find other things more interesting.
I'm a little bit too much of a control freak, to be quite honest.
Just like Queen Victoria.
I am. I'm an obsessive control freak, just like Queen Victoria.
Aside from this, what else are you working on at the moment? What are you doing? I'm
a recent graduate, so I'm out of work, but I'm trying to compile sort of interviews on sort of success stories of various different people into sort of it's a blog, but also I'm planning on turning it into kind of a coffee table style book. It's my primary occupation at the moment. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, maybe we should talk to Patsy Kensett.
Yeah, maybe.
Lovely to talk to you. Ashley, thank you for coming in. Oh, incidentally, what is the Twitter address if people want to find out more?
Oh, yes, it's @QueenVicTweets if you're on Twitter.
Gorgeous, Ashley. Thanks very much.
Cheers.